Hi, I'm Amanda Ford,
I'm Gilbert.
and today we are going to share some information about the best practices for business-related emails and texts in the workplace for Marcia's recent college graduate hires. So first, some of the information that we will be covering. We're going to discuss workplace communication and why it's important. We're going to just specifically talk about email and text and why those two methods of communication are important. Then we'll look a little bit about how communication has been impacted in a virtual remote world because of COVID. Then we'll discuss when to use email, when to use text, how to use tone and mirroring in communication, how to create a professional email, and then some examples of what a good versus a bad email looks like, how to create a professional text and whether or not you should use emojis. We'll touch a little bit on diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and then we'll wrap up with some takeaways. So first we have a short video that illustrates the importance of using effective communication in the workplace.
Hi, I am Sam. I'm very excited to be a part of this company.
So this video did a really good job of illustrating why communication is very important and essential in the workplace. So the main primary forms of communication in the workplace come in the form of emails, as you saw in that video, and text. And then we have attached some statistics that highlight the importance of email and text in workplace communication. So the primary method of communication for remote workers is email, and around 306.4 billion emails are sent and received worldwide every day. And then an average of 17 hours per week are spent reading, responding to, and sending work emails. And then for text, 98% of enterprises report that their employees use smartphones for business purpose. 87% of companies expect employees to use their personal devices for business purposes, and 70% of workers keep their personal phones within eye contact at work. Specifically in the world of remote and virtual learning and COVID-19, communication in the workplace through methods like text and email have become especially essential. So we have attached some statistics about how COVID-19 has transformed working life. So you can note that the top technology used is Zoom, email, and Slack at 67, 67, and 56%. And then there's a couple of other stats that you guys can take a look at about perceptions of remote working, when to return to the office, etc.
Alright, it's important to know whether to use email or text in certain communication. There's three main determinants to decide whether one is more useful than the other. First one is content of message. If it's something more personal, something you're just kind of sending your boss, like, hey, I'm going to be late to work today, that's something can be sent over text. There's no need to send over email. Compared to like business purposes, should be sent over email because it's a little bit more formal, a little bit more important. Number two is info being sent, length, confidentiality, and purpose. If it's a super long message, it should probably be sent over email just because it looks a little bit better, the format's better. But if it's just something quick, easy that you're sending to like a coworker, it can probably be sent over text. And then if you have important business documents, you don't really want to be sent over text because that can cause issues, whether like you lose it or someone actually resends to someone else. But email is a little bit more confidential, a little bit more secure when it comes to important documents. And then it's important to defer to the person you're communicating with. You gotta like note seniority. Alright, tone mirroring. Mirror communication trends in the workplace. No workplace culture follow other staff examples, and it's important to note generational and cultural differences. Like, let's say you're working with someone that lives overseas somewhere in a different country. There's going to be a time zone difference, so you got to be able to know that. And it's probably better to send an email compared to text message, because they're not going to like see that text message. So an email probably can be answered whenever, compared to text message, a little bit more urgent. And then it's important to like look at what your coworkers are sending. If they're sending you texts, okay, it's gonna be you can use text messages to communicate with each other. Compared to if everyone in your workplace is using emails, it's probably good to replicate and mirror what they are doing to make yourself kind of fit in and look as professional as everyone else does. All right, here's an email or a video on how to make professional emails.
We're going to learn how to compose an official email. Microwriting online in the era of instant messaging applications like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. While writing an email is essential in professional writing, one can choose business communication.
This video does a good job of breaking down the do's and don'ts of sending a professional email, providing examples and also certain ideas of what you could do for your own personal emails to make it look better.
We're going to learn how.
Alright, here's some good emails versus bad emails. On the left, you see a good email because it has the nice formatting. It's got from bold, to in bold, and then it's got a nice salutation at the very beginning, say dear recipient name, and then it has the introduction, the body paragraph, and also a closing signature. But on the right, you see a bad example as it says hi, which is not a very good salutation. The doctor and green are both not caps. There's misspelling, as Tuesday is misspelled, and then also there's no closing salutation since that's sincerely or whatnot. And then also there is misspelling as in the Yule, as instead of typing out, they actually use abbreviated, and they just did not proofread as the email stated. They probably should proofread 2 or 3 times before you send the email. Alright, some more examples of do's and don'ts in creating professional text. Do's: ask permission, choose correct forum, make yourself known, say hello, thinking about timing, and respect their needs. Some don'ts of text are waffle on, ignore tone or text, mess up the facts, send too often, or make them wait. Emojis: use context, practice mirroring, understand culture, and follow examples. It is important to understand, because if you send emojis for certain words, sometimes it can be used out of context. Some people might think it's a mean, or some people might think it's unfit for what is being said. So sometimes it's just important to look at the context of what's being said to make sure that emoji applies to what is going on. It's important to also practice mirroring when it comes to emojis too, because if no one else in your workplace does it, you probably shouldn't either, you don't want to stand out in bad ways. But if everyone else is, maybe you can sneak in 1 or 2, just kind of keep the flow going. Is understand culture. Some cultures, certain emojis or certain hand signals are bad in some cultures compared to it's good in others, so it's important to understand who you're talking to and what is good and bad. And then follow examples. If you can just look at other people and you can see that, okay, this does not turn out well, this was not a good example, it's good to learn from others. And it is also important to know, as I said, it is the generational and cultural difference. Older people might not like emojis as the younger generation do. Alright, diversity and inclusion. It's important to cater to professional communication to all diverse dimensions of workplace employees. Alright, here's some important takeaways. Apply newly learned comprehensive lessons and best practices, and also properly and professionally email and text in the workplace. Thank you.